track.
Welcome to the Common Podcast, where we speak upon common sense and realize it really isn't that common. Ladies and gentlemen, I always say this before every podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube and it's more convenient, you're busy all day like I am, you can definitely listen to us on Spotify, and you're going to find that with the Common Podcast on Spotify. Same thing goes vice versa. If you found us on Spotify, there's a video of us interacting and engaging on YouTube. So without further ado, today's topic is going to be called Self-Love is the Worst Love. And I'm just going to go ahead and introduce Angel, because he's going to kind of introduce, not introduce, but he's going to help me kind of elaborate what the topic is today. And so I came up with this topic. I brought it up to Angel because I found that a lot of the times, on Twitter, right? So obviously, for those of you that listen to the podcast, know that I've been on Twitter a lot, and it's just because I find that there's a lot of stupidity, but there's also like a lot of weird stuff on Twitter. Like people are a little bit more bold on Twitter, so they're able to really speak their mind on there, is what it seems to be. But I hear this whole thing of self-love. There's this self-love activist movement that's going on right now. And I want to make it very, very, very clear that I do believe in loving yourself, okay? But I think that it's very corrupt, and I think that it is. So I've been reading this book. I'm going to introduce with that. Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules of Life. And he talks about, and it helped me understand this, is that we are human beings. I thought it cut off, my bad. We are human beings, meaning that we are the most complicated things that we know of. So everything that we do needs context. Like, if anyone or anything is attacked in a very vague way, as in, well, it's just like that because it's like that. Well, it's not like that because it's like that. It's because you haven't taken the time and energy to really look at, what it is. And that's what I believe about self-love, is that self-love deserves context, and it can be applied, and it should be applied in certain situations, but in a very articulate way. Okay? So self-love, and this is another thing that the book talks about, is our purpose as people is always to fulfill what we need to fulfill in this world, right? But in order to pass that on to other people, picture a cup, right? Like if we had a cup here and it was inside of another cup, there's like 10 cups inside of each other, right? That first cup, which is not filled, right? Yeah. In order to fill the rest of the cups, you would first need to fill up that first one in order for it to overflow into the other 10 cups, right? So that first cup is you. So you would first need to pour into yourself. And I believe that this is what people think that they're doing when they say self-love, right? So you would first need to pour into yourself, and then whatever is extra is going to overflow into your household. Yeah. Which that would be your loved ones, your family, right? Anything overflowed after that would be your extended family, your aunts, uncles, cousins, whatever it is. Anything overflowed after that would go to your inner community, then society, then so on and so forth. Okay? So loving yourself, caring about yourself it's true. It's something that you do need to do. But now here's where it kind of gets tricky. Now, when it turns selfish, which what I think this Twitter movement is doing, it's not going to benefit anyone, and it's surely not going to benefit you. Because here's why. A selfish person only thinks about themselves at that moment, at that one time. It doesn't think about themselves tomorrow. He or she doesn't think about themselves next week. He or she doesn't think about next month, year, 5 years, 10 years. It's almost as if, like, I deserve this. I owe it to myself to love myself right now. And so I'm going to go partying with my girls. I'm going to go drinking with my girls. I'm going to have sex with that guy And the same thing goes for guys.
Yeah,
I'm going to go and hook up with this girl. I'm going to go do this, do that, right? Whatever it is. That is going to be nothing beneficial to the future you.
Yeah.
So, and this is another person that has inspired me throughout my life is Orson Welles, and I've talked about him on the podcast, is you need to be a servant to your other people. And applying this method to that, let's say I want to self-love. I want to do, I want to love myself and I want to improve myself.
Yeah.
I start to work out. I start to drink that gallon of water. I start to do this. I start to do little things, right? And what we don't realize is that a lot of these little things are kind of connected to each other. So we fix one thing and we sit down and we're like, you know what? I want to live better. Well, let me get more sleep. Guess what? The more sleep is going to, the result of that is going to be, you're going to have a better day tomorrow. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel more energized. You're going to drink your water. You're going to do this, do that, right? So back to, serving yourself. Is if, let's say I'm going to drink this gallon of water today. Well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to serve yourself tomorrow, right? I'm going to work out this week so I can feel better. Well, I'm going to work out every day so I can feel better next month. Or I'm going to put money in my savings so we can go on vacation next year.
Yeah.
I'm going to set up a 5-year plan. That way we're able to retire in 10 years. What you're doing is, even though that may sound selfish, you're actually serving a communion of yourself. So you're actually serving the future you. What that ends up happening, inevitably, is that you end up serving the people that are around you as well. Because I'm not the only one going on vacation. My wife's also going on vacation, right? Me being healthier isn't just helping me. It's also so my kids can see a healthier father. It's also so I can see my great grandkids. You know what I mean? So serving you is not a bad thing, right? But when you do it very selfishly, that's when it turns very corrupt and very bad. It's like all these fat chicks on Twitter saying, wake up and I love myself for me. Meaning I'm not going to make any improvement in my life. I love myself just the way I am.
I'm already perfect. Yeah.
I'm already perfect. And that's false. Because if you were perfect, you wouldn't be depressed. You wouldn't be anxious. You wouldn't be doing all this crazy stuff. You wouldn't even be on social media half naked trying to impress other people.
I feel like that's true. And I think the thing that comes to mind the most off that is the classic, like, oh, today was a self-love day where I had the day off. I laid in bed and I took care of me. I'm just like, what does that really benefit you going forward? And that there's a lot of people that see it like that. Oh, self-love means I can
slack off.
I can slack off.
Yeah, and it's definitely not what it means.
No, definitely not.
It's about sowing that seed of what you want.
What you want to be.
What you want to be.
What you want to accomplish.
And what I do also notice is that a lot of the times, I'm a victim of it too. I'm not a victim. I catch myself doing this too, is ignorance is very bliss. So I love that. I know it's very cliche, but I love it so much because I also find myself, and I'll put a personal, experience of mine is my finances. Very recently, my wife and I sat down and we talked about finances and we talked about savings.
That's a hard talk.
That's something that I was looking at, and I wasn't looking at, and I just kind of wanted to ignore. Okay, as long as we have enough to pay the bills and enough to save a little bit of money, as long as we're comfortable, I don't need to know the rest. But no, having to sit down and face that was very uncomfortable. Oh man! But now we're on the right track in order to accomplish what we want to accomplish in the future, right? So overcoming that demon or overcoming that fear of mine of having to sit down and talk about financing is self-love.
That's a huge deal. I've been married for, a little bit less than a year. You've been married for like a year and a half, right? Something around there? Almost?
Yeah, a little bit more, yeah.
That's pretty recent, right? So, like, when you first get married, you don't want to be the guy that's like, hey, let's not go out to eat that one time. Yeah. Hey, maybe we shouldn't spend money there. Maybe you shouldn't spend money here. And that was a talk I recently had with my wife as well. We're like, hey, like, we need to cut back in certain areas. We can't keep doing this, Prices of everything are going up. Everything's just crazy skyrocketing. And I feel like maybe a lot of people don't have enough confidence to have that conversation. That's a tough conversation.
It is.
But it's one that needs to be had, for sure.
For those of you that have had it, no. For those of you that may not have had it, you don't.
Some of you are thinking about it right now.
Yeah, thinking about it.
Because, you know, when I was single, the financial discipline was easy.
Very easy.
But when you have to tell your wife, hey, no, you know, as a young man, that's hard. That's hard. I feel like, when you're older, you've already had that conversation, and they both come to an understanding.
For sure. I had a lot of trouble with my wife telling me how I can spend my own money when we first got married.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I never had that
issue. It was something that, like, you know, like I make majority of the money.
Yeah.
How can you tell me what to spend? And then, or you be looking into my bank account. I don't look at your bank account.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But it takes a lot of humility to really look, and it's like, well, she's my wife. I trust her, first and foremost. And second of all, I trust that she has our best interests while she's doing this. So that's something that has to do with trust.
Oh, yeah. For
most
sure.
Definitely.
And that's a tough conversation, and that's a form of self-love that, you know, maybe would be the opposite of what you would think, because on Twitter, self-love is buying yourself that thing you want. You know, self-love is going to pay for that whatever thing that you think is going to make yourself feel better, when in reality, if you just save that money and do something productive that's cheap, you know, maybe you'd feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Just naturally.
Self-love. I say this, I feel like a lot of these controversial topics is one of those things that looks good in black and white, but it's not the way it is. In order to self-love, buy yourself that sugary coffee today. And
make sure you're in that big truck you could barely afford.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
no,
man.
That's not self-love. What it really is actually fighting your fears, living your life on the edge. And Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot. Picture you had picture you had two sides of very chaotic and very comfortable, right? You want to find that middle edge point, because on the very end of very comfortable, you're not gonna do anything with your life. There's no progress, right? But if you go too far to chaotic, then you might end up a psychopath.
Oh yeah.
You're not, you know, crumbling, right? Literally.
Yeah,
so you want to find where you're just past your comfort zone. That's where progress happens. Same thing with self-love. Find things that you're passionate about, but take it to that uncomfortable spot, right?
Yeah.
You want to love your body? Well, get up and do something about it.
Yeah.
Don't just say you love your cellulite thighs because that's what you were granted. It's like, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to love to see your great grandkids a lot more if you truly loved yourself.
Or just feel better, man. Just, you know, be able to walk upstairs without feeling like trash, you know.
For sure. Let's talk about that Euphoria.
Yeah, the Euphoria episode. Yeah.
So this is all coincidental. This
Very
is
coincidental.
Not something that we planned. You said it came out Sunday?
It came out Sunday, I believe, yeah.
Yeah. So I told Angel that we were going to have this discussion. He's like, well, I have this cool idea where he's going to look up tweets about self-love and see what other people, right? Because this is why I'm on Twitter, because I want to see what other people think about these topics, not just me. So part of reason why I invite guests onto this show is I don't want just what I think. I want what other people think too. And so he did that. But before we get into the tweets, he was talking about this Euphoria like show that just came out. And I had seen it also on the hashtags.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was looking for clips on Twitter, but I couldn't really find it. So when he got here, you know, we looked it up on YouTube, and it's very ironic how it's perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah, it's a great representation.
Can you explain it? Like,
so basically, we have this young girl. She's feeling down about herself. You know, she's overweight. She's probably going through something like relationship-wise that I'm not really sure of the context of the show because I haven't seen it yet. But just in that one clip, she's there crying. She feels like shit. And she looks up and she sees basically an Instagram model, right? She's like in her bikini. Like straight up Instagram model, looks flawless, right? And she's like, well, hey, like, you know, you're really amazing, right? Like, you know that. You should just love yourself.
Just love yourself.
And she's like, but I don't feel like that right now. Like, I feel like shit. Like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. She's like, yeah, but the thing is, like, you're already perfect. So, like, why don't you just, you know, love yourself? And then all these other like beautiful Instagram model worthy women come up and tell her, just keep telling her the same thing. And in the process of all this, she's not allowed to say anything because they're shuttering her up with self-love. And so it's really interesting seeing a show that attacks self-love, because to me it feels like it's been like 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5 years since the self-love thing really took off on social media, right? And maybe even at the beginning, maybe I was like, oh, that makes sense. You know, if you love you, like you love others better, right?
Yeah, here's the thing. Yeah,
it makes sense.
This is where context is very crucial. It's like, yeah, like if you tell me that 4 years ago, I'm like, of course.
Oh yeah,
you need to love yourself, right?
The thing is, like Roger's been explaining, now that I'm older, I know that it's not like literally loving myself and literally treating myself to everything I want. It's more like doing hard stuff to stay disciplined in a certain way. Like, let's say not buying that thing is a form of self-love, because hey, you keep that money, you could put that money towards something else that's important. You know, having your priorities set up in a way that benefits you now and in the future, a year from now, 5 years from now, and just having that discipline to put yourself in a better situation going forward. And to me, now I see that, oh, that's self-love.
Yeah.
It's not, literally telling myself I love you.
Yeah, it's what I covered. It's about serving yourself tomorrow, the next day, the next week, not about serving your instant gratification.
Yeah.
We all know this. Things that are worth having do not come easy, right? So usually, and it's crazy how the universe works, but usually the things that come easy, the things that we like, is not what is good for us, right? So in fact, maybe it's not what we want. Maybe it's in fact what we need. And that's where the self-love starts, is when we start to eliminate the wants and start focusing on the needs. And then it would overflow and then eventually happen to where we get where we also want. We won't obviously get everything that we want.
Yeah.
But eventually what's going to happen is that we're going to see a lot more abundance of great things in our life, because we're focusing on, you're focusing on yourself, the future you.
Which is why I think that the show Attacking Self-Love is very interesting, because it's a brand new, it's a 4 or 5 year old thing that's on social media.
Still brand new.
So it's a brand new concept, right? And I don't think I've ever seen anything in media to attack it, to actually go after it, or see like any celebrity actually be like, hey, no, wait, it should not be taken for that, right? Basically what they're telling her is like, she's in a city situation, she feels like shit, she doesn't want to feel like that anymore, she wants to change it, but they're telling her, no, you're good,
you're
like,
perfect,
you already have everything you need. It's like, no, but especially when you're young, man, like I could think of back when I was like, let's say 19, 20 years old, your brain's not even fully formed yet, you don't have what you need. You're gonna get it eventually, but you're still going through that learning process.
For sure.
And so telling someone that young, especially like a teenager, right? You think about how influenced teenagers are by social media, by just people around them in general. Telling them that they're already fine, that's not okay, because we're human beings. We got to improve every day.
Exactly. I think it's so interesting because, I mean, you said it perfectly. This person that is having these issues is not even allowed to talk.
Oh, no.
And it has this whole society, right, or social media, like all these identities coming at her saying like, no, why would you focusing on better yourself? You're perfect the way you are. And that's literally what society is doing nowadays. What this whole self-love movement is doing, it's suppressing those challenges, which in fact we should be enabling them and inflating them. That way this person can conquer their demons, the stuff that they're struggling with, and eventually have sufficient amount of self-love. Not just, you'll be good today because you said this is okay.
I think the best way maybe to attack it would be like, it depends on the situation. Every situation is different. But let's say someone's has an issue with their weight. Instead of being like, no, dude, you're good. Like, don't worry about it. You're making money. You're doing everything you need. You're fine. Instead of being that, like, hey, man, you want to you want to start hitting up the gym. You want to go for a walk. You want to, just something suggest to them something positive instead of saying no, you're good. You know, I don't really think that's a problem with men. It's mostly at least what you see on social media is like a female thing, right?
For sure.
Like,
well, I think men
calling a girl fat is really like crazy, and calling a man fat is like, yeah.
Well, I think that's it's very true for men, but to display it on social media, it's not so
No,
much.
we don't.
It's
I
not
mean, in group
prevalent.
chats, we get after each other. Trust
Yeah.
me. Like, we'll be like, "Hey, dude, you're fat," you know, and sometimes they don't take it well.
Yeah.
You know, I know a couple guys that really don't take it well. They're sensitive about that, but you know, and then they try to do something, but ultimately they end up failing, and it's just like you just have to be there to like support them to be better and not support them to be complacent.
Careful, constructive criticism
Oh, yeah.
is what needs to happen. So you need to acknowledge the person and how they are, how they take things, but also challenge them.
Oh yeah.
You can't sacrifice like trying to be kind for the truth. So it's like, let's say you're pre-diabetic, and I know this, I can see it. You know, maybe your wife told me, and I'm sitting right in front of you, and I have the opportunity right now to actually change your life. Like, Angel, you know what? You're down a slippery slope. You need to make a change in your life.
Yep.
Come work out with me. But instead, I don't want to hurt your feelings. So instead, I'm just gonna be like, hey, listen, bro. There's a lot of people that are pre-diabetic. There's a lot of people that are diabetic. They still survive. You know, you're gonna be fine. Just, you know, try to eat a little bit better, maybe.
Yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And that's sacrificing the truth for kindness. And we can't be doing that. Even though people are going to look at you like this douche, you can't. Were you on the Body Positivity podcast?
No, I was not.
Okay, so I talk about how to approach like the situation of, you know, somebody who is a victim of their body.
Yeah.
And well, you have to acknowledge that we are built differently. Like, I'm not built with a very petite body. Right,
I gain weight crazy fast.
Exactly. We all, you know, there's different body types. That is true. But just because you are somebody who gains weight a lot quicker or stores fat a lot quicker does not mean that you cannot have a great body or, you know, a healthy body. Exactly. We are designed differently. It's good to note that, but it's also good to promote good health. So meaning, like, listen, Angel, the way your body type is, you're always going to be a bigger, bulkier guy, but you can make that into something great. You can be a strong guy. You know, you can be a power lifter, or you can still thin out, bring down your body fat, and you know things of that nature. But to just tell you, Angel, you're a fat blob, you're always going to be a fat blob, but it's okay. You know,
that's just you.
It's just you. Just love yourself.
Yeah, no, it's a very dangerous thing, and like I said, how that TV show brought attention to it was really interesting. Just to see it attacked in that way, and then that was the topic we were bringing up today, and us finding that was like, wow, okay, cool.
Yeah,
like there's actual video representation of what it's like.
I might add that to the beginning of this podcast. Might not. I feel like it'll.
It might get copyrighted. For sure. It's a big show.
Okay, you know what? I'll link it. It'll be the first link in the description, and I'll try to put it if YouTube lets me. It probably will not let me. But there's gonna be like a little message at the top right where the link will take you. I don't think it's gonna let me, but you know, I'll give it a shot. If not, first link in the description. You can find that.
Is there? Okay, so my idea for a small segment on this topic was to go through Twitter, find some tweets that I maybe find interesting, and just get your thoughts on it, right?
Yeah.
So the first tweet I have here from a former UFC fighter. I don't really know who it is, but that's in his bio.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, unconditional self-love is the highest form of healing. What's your opinion on that one?
So, okay, read it again.
Unconditional self-love is the highest form of healing.
Here's what I found.
Sorry, seriously.
There you go. So, unconditional self-love is the highest form of healing. That's another one of those things that I think is it depends on where it has to be strategically put, right? Mm-hmm. So, going back to the cup scenario. Yes, you have to focus on building yourself, but it has to be with great measures, and with the, you see, because here's the thing, love is not meant to just be kept in.
Yeah.
Right? Love is meant to, and almost every religion that you were going to find, it's always love your brothers, right? Love your brother, love your sister. It's meant to be spreaded. So maybe, yeah, unconditional love, but
My thing is, if you put any one person in the world in a room by themselves for not even forever, maybe 2-3 days, they might break down mentally. I mean, you need interaction. You need interaction with other people. You need some sort of.
we're social people.
We're social creatures for sure. So, the self-love thing, I think it works to a certain point, but you'll never always be fulfilled with just being yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
You're never gonna attain that fulfillment that you want.
Okay, so on that topic, I mean, have you ever had it to where you did something for someone, a close loved one, someone near and dear to you, someone you care about, for your wife, for instance. You do something for her, and it feels a lot better to do something for her than it is to do for yourself?
For sure. Making my wife smile, just buying her something little that she wanted, it makes me feel better. It makes me feel better than the day I freaking got a PS5. You know, I was like, oh, cool, I bought it, whatever.
That happens a lot. Okay, so that brings me to a point where on Twitter, I had this conversation with this girl.
Yeah.
And she was talking about self-love this, self-love that. And I replied, and she talked about, I told her, oh, and then I went back to her page to see, and she had recently, like days before that, posted that making this person smile was the happiest thing I'd ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, like contradicting here.
Yeah.
Like, if that was truly the happiest time of your life, maybe loving someone else is way better than loving just yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way it is. Psychologist Jordan Peterson, who is a psychologist, talks about how psychologists actually put together a study, right, where they check the serotonin of people, right? I think it was like 50 people.
Yeah.
And they put 25 to do stuff for themselves, and then the other 25 things for loved ones, and they found more serotonin in the people that did for others.
Yeah.
So what that proves is it just made them a lot happier. It just made them go about their day a lot better, because doing things, we're meant to do things for other people. We're not meant to be selfish.
Yeah.
We're not meant to be selfish.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I got another one right here, right? Your self-love has got to be stronger than your desire to be loved.
Okay, so I had this other conversation with this other girl,
Yeah,
because I look up self-love,
okay,
right, on Twitter, and this person tweeted out self-love, whatever this, self-love, whatever that. I said, okay, well, wouldn't that apply to the law of attraction, right? So let's say you took this tweet and you said your self-love has to be stronger than your desire to be loved. Okay, so let's take that into consideration. That's like a very kind of like selfish thing, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I'm in a relationship with a female, and I say I'm gonna love myself way more than I love this person because I don't want to get hurt, right? I'm gonna guard myself. So what that's gonna do is this person's gonna see it, or even your friends are gonna see it, and they're gonna realize it, right? First of all,
course.
And they're just not gonna want to be around you. So what's gonna happen is that you're going to attract other people that put themselves first before they put you. And so what you're going to end up doing is you're going to surround yourself with this circle of people that are full of self-love, right? You can even say selfish. So then you'll find yourself on Twitter later on in a month and be like, well, I'm tired of doing things for other people, but they can never do anything for me. Well, guess what? You surrounded yourself around those people.
Yeah,
because
that's who you claim to be.
You desire to love yourself more than to be loved. So guess what? You're going to attract people that want to be loved more than they want to spread love. But in fact, let's take my wife and I.
Yeah.
And I say, you know what? I love my wife. And even though there's some primal and things that I want to do, I can't do it because I love her, and I'm going to sacrifice
that aspect of life.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I love her.
Yeah.
right? And she does the same to me. Well, guess what? I'm putting her desires first, and she's putting my desires first. So we can depend on each other now. But if I prioritize my own desires, my own aspirations, aspirations might be different because I believe that a married couple should have one vision.
Yeah.
Right? But if I prioritize just my desires, disregarding hers or her thoughts or everything like that, it's not gonna work out.
No.
It's not gonna work out.
No. So what I think about that, your self-love has got to be stronger than your desire to be loved. Love is something you earn, honestly. Like, I don't, like, maybe, the love between a mother and a child is very natural. It comes in, like, that's an exception. But even then, there's relationships between a mother and a child that don't exactly go the right way because one of them didn't really earn it, Exactly.
I can speak on that. My mom and I.
Maybe early on it's the mother's fault, and later on it's the son's fault, right? And so like I said, it's just always earned. So like if you love yourself more than everyone around you, right? You have no desire to be loved by anyone. It's a very lonely existence. So exactly the same thing you were.
Very greatly put.
Yeah. That's exactly what I think when I see this. I'm like, and another thing about this self-love thing. My theory is that all these people that post about self-love, they're hurt.
Yeah.
They're definitely hurt.
Oh, yes. Something
recently happened that has them hurt. So they're projecting that they're not to other people. Because Twitter, it's Twitter. In your life, you probably have like maybe 10 friends that actually give a fuck, Really? Yeah. Right? Yeah. In Twitter, you have... I don't know how much followers this person have. Maybe you have like 500 followers, right? All those 500 people don't give a fuck about your self-love. Like they don't. They really don't care. So why is it important for you to put it out there?
Might be masking something. Right?
Masking something for sure, 1000%. And I've always had a theory on social media anyway. Like my theory is on social media that when I see a person post a lot, I automatically think something's wrong. Like, oh, something happened with that person, right? And then when I see a person kind of disappear, I'm like, oh, that person might be happy. Like something's going on in their life that they're not drawn to this to seek validation from others. Something's going on in their life that's so good that they're living in that moment. They're not wasting their time getting on social media. And that's always been a theory of mine. I've told my wife all the time, like, hey, have you noticed that person's not posting a lot? It's like, I think they're in a relationship and they're doing well. Like, oh, cool. Oh, they were posting a lot. Oh, they're having marital issues, and so you see that like especially like in like when you see their stories pop up a lot and they're doing this, they're doing that, they're posting selfies and I'm at the gym, I'm working out, I'm doing this, I'm being productive, I'm on the grind.
Yeah, it's something to prove.
Yeah.
Well, I think what you just explained is the toxic fake self-love versus the true self-love.
And I'm guilty of it too. There's definitely been times in my life where I posted a lot to posture because something was wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why I ultimately developed humans, we're all really different, but there's certain things we do that are alike. And I think social media is one of those things that we're kind of...
For sure. People are predictable, but it should be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because if people were not see, here's the problem too, is that people try to be unpredictable, right? But
everyone wants to be different.
Everybody wants to be different. But in fact, we should be in certain ways, we're unique, right? But we should be ultimately predictable because this is the way the standards of how we are supposed to function. This is how we kind of scale things, scale progress. If we weren't predictable, for instance, let's say, okay, you're going to work out.
Yeah.
Right? I have to assume that the way that you got to this new body that you got to in the future, you had to work hard, right? That's very predictable, right? Those are things that we can scale, right? That we can predict, that ultimately is only people that, like the true people that are very unpredictable are psychopaths. That's it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, those are definitely around.
Yeah. So unless you want to be psychopathic, being predictable is an okay thing.
So I screenshotted this one too. That same tweet, right? at the bottom of the tweet, she replied to herself and she said, "Love is the origin, love is the path, love is the destination. For more, please follow my Instagram page." So it's like, I'm just looking at that like, dude, like, what the hell is wrong with, like, you know? To me, that's just so ironic. It's like, okay. Okay, moving on to the next one.
You know, before you get to that, you know what's crazy though?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe people that are listening to this right now, maybe they haven't even realized, like, what's going on social media.
Yeah,
You know,
it's true. Yeah. I mean, I think everyone at this point, I believe, certain documentaries and certain things have shed light, and people have heard like, "Oh, did you know it's bad for you?" Like, yeah. But you know, they choose to willingly ignore it. It's, I think maybe if people keep drawing more attention to it, then they'll really figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
It's one of the reasons I've made a concerted effort not to get on TikTok. And I'm kind of been proven right because TikTok has kind of come to other platforms. On YouTube, there's YouTube Shorts. On Facebook, they show reels from Instagram, and Instagram they have reels. And it'll come up on my feed, and then I'm watching, and I'm like, yo, I gotta stop. Like, what? Like, you just flip so fast. The attention span to get on TikTok is like this. Like, my wife switches from TikTok to TikTok like every 5 seconds. I'm like, do you even know what they're saying? Are you watching it? Like, what's the point? And then I found myself doing that too, and I was just like, what? You know, that is just like, I think that's like the pinnacle of all social media, like, addiction. Like, the little 5-second.
Yeah.
Man, it's just crazy to think like how that's shortening. Like, we've already shortened our attention span by watching videos on Twitter or Instagram for a minute, right?
From books to
a
videos.
30-minute podcast, and now it's a 1 minute, and now TikTok made it 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And now it's not even that because most people don't watch a full TikTok.
For sure.
It's just insane how the progression is, and I think TikTok is like the pinnacle. And it's kind of bleeding into other things, and I'm like, it's hard to stay away from it.
Well, this program that we're on, 75 Hard, I told you, kind of has eliminated my social life.
Yeah.
So I've never been on TikTok much. I don't even like TikTok, but
No, yeah.
I would be on Instagram and all that stuff. The same thing would happen with me with the reels. But now that I really basically don't have any time because I'm doing self-love, guys.
Yeah.
75 Hard. I'm on this program. Pretty sure maybe y'all have heard it. It's pretty popular. Maybe not. 75 Hard. It's these 5. Well, we'll talk about it in another podcast. I'm going to have a podcast tomorrow talking about it, so I'm not going to get into it. 5 steps that you have to do consecutively for 75 days.
It's challenging, guys.
It's very challenging. It's mental toughness, discipline, and also I've lost 20 pounds in 20 days. 20 pounds in 20 days, which is absurd. But I've had to sacrifice so many things. Going out to eat. Obviously, I don't have time to be on social media. I haven't had as much time to do the podcast. Things like this. But guess what? I know at the end of the 75 days, I'm going to love myself, my body, and it's going to... People are going to be able to feel it and see it around me. And I'm going to be able to shoot that out to other people and spread that love. But
you might hit 190, bro, by the end of it. It's fucking crazy.
maybe.
I just hope
I
to hit
don't know
220.
if I want to go down there, though.
That's low, bro.
Yeah, that's
low.
it's a little low for me.
Yeah, nowadays, yeah. Okay, so we got this one right here, right? Next tweet. Self-love is knowing that some parts of you are just who you are and other parts aren't. They're your hurt and self-perceived limitations.
That limitations, that you set your own limitations.
Yeah.
And this person just made it that cap made it a lot smaller.
It's kind of contradictory.
It is kind of contradictory, but I can kind of see what there's a lot of stupid people on social media, so I've kind of grown accustomed to it.
There's a lot of people that like kind of tweet something and like they're trying to say something, but it's not really.
Yeah.
You're just throwing words out there, man.
So, I mean, I guess that's kind of true because it's like, for instance, I'm 5'9". I'm never going to be 7 foot. So there is a ceiling, right? But this person, by saying it the way that they said it, just made that ceiling a lot smaller. It's like that. It's like what I just said. It's like, oh, I'm going to have cellulite thighs because I was born with them. It's like, no, you can control those things, right? So this is one thing that needs context. It doesn't deserve a 50-character tweet. It deserves a freaking article or a book. Like, we need to be careful about what we're posting, because when we post stupid crap like this, people are going to maybe do a Twitter thread, but people are going to conceive it very differently, and it's dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, it's dangerous. But it's not wrong, but it needs more context, I think.
Yeah, no, he's trying to say two different things, and it definitely doesn't come off like what he's trying to get off.
Yeah.
Keeping it that short, I don't really understand like what he's trying to get to, or what feeling he's trying to evoke. Is it supposed to be motivational? Is it supposed to be
Comforting?
Yeah, comforting, motivational. No idea what he was really trying to go there. It was just interesting. Some parts are who you are, and other parts aren't. What? The parts you love about your parts of self-love aren't. Like, no.
Let me read that.
Yeah.
And other parts aren't. They're your hurt and self-perceived limitations.
But how does that have to do anything with self-love? Like, I really don't get what he's trying to say there.
I don't know, guys.
Brainstorming.
Maybe y'all know.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe y'all know, but...
All right, this is a good one. Stop seeking validation through achievements. The only way to boost your self-love is to love yourself. What do you think of that one, man?
No, this is what I talked about.
Oh, that's dangerous right there. I don't even know how much likes it got. But yeah.
Well, you see, validation from the right people it's constructive. It's good, right? Your mentors, people that actually know what the hell they're talking about. Now, seeking validation from social media is probably not a good thing, because you're going to get caught in this ugly rut. You're going to dig yourself in a hole. But this is...
But you kind of see how she's saying nothing at all.
Yeah.
She's saying absolutely... Stop seeking validation through achievements. The only way to boost your self-love is to love yourself.
No.
That makes no sense. And that's very dangerous, because people are like, okay, I don't have to be I don't have to achieve this or that in my life as long as I'm okay with myself. It's like, yeah, but...
Well,
are you of value to anyone around you?
How do you? Okay, so how do you achieve self-love?
It's an achievement.
But how do you achieve it? You compare and you contrast versus other people. That's why we're predictable.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't you want to win in life?
Yeah, for sure.
Don't you want to win?
Yeah.
Well, how do you win? You achieve, you compare against other people, you win. That's
it's natural. We're not saying that, that's the perfect thing to do, but that's just exactly so life is, man. You're gonna naturally do that. You're gonna naturally compare yourself to others. You're gonna naturally want to achieve stuff. And so having this person say, hey, no, you don't have to achieve anything, it's just self-love, just love yourself, to us adults, we're looking at that and we're like, okay, this is dumb, right? But to let's say a 14-year-old boy, 14-year-old girl, they're reading this and they're like, oh yeah. they're hitting exactly what I'm feeling. Like,
yeah.
I don't love myself, so maybe I should just do that. I'm like,
yeah.
But there's no way you can just do that,
Yeah. And I want to go back, because I feel like maybe people might be thinking that I went across this the wrong way. I do believe comparing yourself to you yesterday is very important.
For sure.
That's more important than you comparing yourself to someone else. Because in anything in life that you do, whether you're passionate at it or you're not passionate at it. Let's say I wanted to be a carpenter or something. Maybe I wanted to build a chair. Let's say I wanted to build that chair over there. And man, I did a good job. And then I go on social media, on Instagram, and I check my algorithm. Or maybe just my neighbor. Maybe my neighbor built a chair that's way better than mine. I'm going to feel pretty crappy about myself. Now let's get on social media where access to millions of people, millions of carpenters or people that make chairs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, my chair wasn't anything. But guess what? I wasn't able to build that chair yesterday. So I'm making progress. And progress is everything. So, okay, yes, I made that chair. Let me take note on what I did good, but let me also take note on what I can do better. Yeah. And next week I build a better chair, right? Now, if I keep going this route where I'm looking at other people and saying like, oh, well, theirs is better, I'm going to feel crappy. I'm going to give up on myself. But it's like, you know what? This chair, I like the way I put the legs on this chair. It's a lot more structured, a lot more stable, and, it could be more appealing. Maybe I'll do that on the next project.
Yep.
Maybe next month I do a little bit better chair. Right? I'm comparing myself to my past me.
Yeah.
And that's way better than what,
Oh, for sure.
comparing
Yeah,
yourself
yeah.
to other people.
I mean, that's part of the unhealthy stuff of social media. You get to see. It's not actually real people, right? It's like what they project out.
Yeah,
they don't have all that stuff sometimes, and it's even the famous, well-known thing that, like, let's say, like, rappers or social media influencers are given stuff by the companies to push certain products and to make it look like, oh, we're rich because we have this, and it's a very common thing. A lot of people are just projecting on social media. So when you look at that, you feel down about yourself. You should understand, like, it's not always what you're seeing. That's not reality. The reality is what you can do and what you can control moving forward with yourself.
For sure.
You can't control, what other people are given at all.
Yeah.
And that's self-love.
That's self-love. Yeah. I just think it's a very dangerous thing. I think that people need to really think about when they're talking about things that when things really deserve context, that it's very important to provide it, because when it's done very vague, it's very dangerous, because people are going to take it a certain way and they're going to become victims to themselves, and it's going to harm them. I truly believe that it's gonna harm them.
And to me, the most at risk are, definitely the youth, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're the ones that see this kind of verbiage and lingo, and they're gonna try to apply it into ways that might not be the best for them, because they don't really understand. I mean, no one really understands when they're anything really. When you're, now that I look back, when I was like 16, 17, 18, 19, like,
yeah, I remember being
you're
that.
kind of just going through life, man. Like,
remember-
things are very influential on you.
For sure. I remember being that young and thinking that I was like the toughest person, and thinking that I knew what other people didn't know. But until you actually grow up and you're forced to live in the society where you truly have to work for what you get, right? You have to pay bills. You have to do all this stuff.
Yep.
What you reap is what you sow. Things get really real. And then you look back and you're like, man, I didn't know crap.
Not a damn thing. You look back and you're like, man, I should have been doing this for myself. I should have been doing this. And now that those are things that you learn and you just apply to yourself going forward.
Yeah. 100%.
Yes, sir. That's all I got for the tweet segment. I don't know if you have anything else on self-love we can dive into.
Self-love. What do y'all think?
Yeah, for sure. Me here in the comments.
For sure. What do y'all think? What I might start doing, guys, is on Instagram, Twitter, and stuff like that. I did it today where I put out the topic early.
Yeah.
I never do that. But I want to start putting the topic early. Hopefully that y'all will engage. So my Instagram, for those of you listening, is O Rogers. I think with 2 S's. So it's OHROGERSS. Also, the podcast has an Instagram now, which is The Common Podcast on Instagram.
Is it The Real Comment Podcast?
Oh, sorry, The Real Common Podcast on Instagram. I will also be putting like a poll. Is what I think I'm going to start doing with it is I have a list of topics. I'll put up, topics, and then I'll let y'all decide what we're going to talk about. And then, but I also want your input on it, what you think about it.
For sure.
Obviously, it won't be the conceptual, what we are going to attack it, but in the vague way that it is, just kind of like give us your opinion on it. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'm trying to find different ways to get y'all to engage. But yeah. Did you have anything else on self-love? I can't really think of anything at the top of my
I think
head.
we covered it pretty well.
I think that was good. I
Yeah,
think that was short and sweet.
Yeah.
Not overly like congested with stuff that really didn't matter.
Yeah, filler words and stuff. I think we were both direct to the point.
Well, we did. So I think this is going to be a good one. So I think we're going to call it there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for listening in. For those of you listening to on Spotify, we have the video, more visual, on YouTube, which is the Common Podcast. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube and it's more convenient, you can listen to it on Spotify. But for next time, guys, that's going to be it for us, and we'll catch y'all later.
Sir, see you later.
On the track.